Mana Muhammad?
Muhammad dia biasalah.
Kita sakit perut ke?
Jen.
Han dulu sini jam sebelah kiri. Kosong. Okey. Azman. Dulu sini jap. Dulu sini jap boleh? Dan tak nampak apa.
Raymond.
Raymond here. Raymond. Please. There shouldn't be an empty chair. Okay? Please. One. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Ready. Assalamualaikum Toki Dato' Asri Dato', abang-abang, adik-adik. Ada wakil daripada Profesor Soleha, Puteri Rina wakil daripada Majlis Profesor Soleha, dan Dato' Ustaz Mahmid, Ustaz Manis, Ustaz Almi. Jadi laporan hari ini akan dibentangkan juga pada Majlis Profesor. Puteri, Toki kenal kan? Betul lah, okey, alhamdulillah. Jadi belakang tabir Tok Zul, pejuang-pejuang GPMC dan juga pejuang-pejuang hak asasi manusia dan anak cucu Adam dan Hawa. Pertama sekali saya nak mengucapkan jutaan dan ribuan terima kasih pada Toki, Dato' Asri, PPIM, GPMC dan termasuk Dato' Chan tu, Dr. Chan, Dr. Kenny,
The expert.
okey, kerana kita hari ini berada di depan perjuangan yang kalau kita tak buat betul-betul kita akan kalah, tuan-tuan. Nasib anak-anak bangsa jadi galang kaki. Bagi saya, hero pada hari ini ada Toki, Dato' Asri dan barisan GPMC. Tanpa ada Dato' Asri, Toki, Zul dan sebagainya ini, tidak ada pejuang. Jadi hari ini saya nak memperkenalkan Mr. Ken or Keefe. You know directly the last Prime Minister or the President of Palestine. Yes, okay. Sebentar lagi saya akan serahkan untuk Brother Ken memperkenalkan diri dia. Saya duduk sana. Jadi tujuan kita hari ini adalah membawa sebuah cerita yang ramai manusia tak faham di muka bumi, itu perancangan New World Order. Membunuh manusia di muka bumi, genocide atau goyim ini telah berlaku terlalu lama. Dalam konsep ada setengah konspirasi teori kata Illuminati atau Freemason. Tetapi hari ini mereka telah bergerak pada skala dunia. They have combined their effort to create a new world order system. Jadi sekejap lagi saya bagi sepatah dua kata kepada Cik Muhammad mewakili GPMC, dan after that you forward back to Brother Ken. Jadi saya pun tak nak membicarakan lebih lanjut. Saya permohon sidang penonton memberikan perhatian. Nyawa anak-anak kalian, cucu-cucu kita berada di persimpangan jalan. Silakan Cik Muhammad.
InsyaAllah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum pada semua. Hari ini mungkin saya akan rotate sedikit lah, menggunakan bahasa Melayu sedikit, menggunakan bahasa Inggeris sedikit sebab ada Brother Ken dan mungkin sebentar lagi Syekh Imran juga akan hadir. Okay, jadi alhamdulillah pada hari ini kita nampaknya macam coincidental satu-satu jatuh ke tempat yang sesuai. Jadi saya mendapat perkabaran bahawa Syekh Imran berada di Malaysia baru saja dalam lebih kurang 3-4 hari baru ni. Jadi saya forward kepada Tuan Izham, Cikgu Izham, dan kemudian disambut pula oleh Tok Fauzi secara tiba-tiba. Jadi itu yang kita hari ini secara ad hocnya, tiba-tiba, maksudnya kita tak ada poster apa-apa, kita terus adakan mesyuarat ni. Jadi yang kita bawakan di sini, kita berterima kasih kepada Tok Fauzi, alhamdulillah. And then Tok Fauzi ialah yang organize ni bersama dengan Lieutenant Colonel Izwan. Terima kasih kepada Toki, BPIM, Datuk Seri Asri, Abang Zul dan hadirin-hadiran yang hadir sekalian. And today is a blessed day. We have Brother Kenneth O'Keefe here from USA. And he was in the Navy, if I'm not mistaken.
The Marines.
The Marines. For how many years, Brother Ken? 3 years. Alhamdulillah. So, apa yang GPMC sedang nak buat sekarang ni adalah di mana kita tidak boleh, saya bahasa Inggeris sedikit supaya Brother Ken faham. We are no longer able to keep these cases isolated. Because the Malaysians are seeing the problems that we are facing right now is an isolated case. So like for example, Japan, and for the rest of the world, like even President Trump himself has declared that they are not gonna be taking the vaccines anymore. That is just one of the issues. So, in Malaysia, the people are not seeing this that well. Mereka tidak dapat melihat benda ni, negara sudah tolak, negara luar sudah tolak. Tapi di dalam Malaysia ni macam masih lagi tak nampak benda tu di luar sana macam tu yang berlaku. Jadi itu sebab kita terpaksa, we have the urge to bring international people to share with us what is going on out there. So the Malays, especially the Malays right now, will know what is going on. So they will not be fooled by, they will not be captured and they will not be intimidated. So they will know their rights and they will know this is happening all around the world. If let's say they are selling us Goodyear tires, which is made from Germany, and the Goodyear tires is incompatible with our cars right here. So the whole world has deposed and no longer using this Goodyear tires. So why are we still using this Goodyear tires? So that's why we are bringing people from Goodyear itself to present to us, no, do not use this Goodyear tires anymore. So maksudnya kita membawa orang luar untuk memberitahu kita di luar sana, contoh kita diberikan tayar Goodyear. Goodyear tu contoh dibuat di luar negara dan di luar negara pun dah menolak tayar tersebut. Tetapi kita di sini dipaksa memakai tayar tersebut sampailah hancur jahanam kita punya kereta ke tubuh kita. Jadi kita bawa orang daripada Goodyear tu tersebut untuk menerangkan apa yang sedang berlaku. Jadi itulah dia GPMC di sini pendeknya, saya tak nak ambil masa panjang. Jadi lepas ni kita riliskan kepada Brother Ken. InsyaAllah Brother Ken, can you lead this?
Where shall I start?
Vaksin perkenalkan diri dulu. Perkenalkan diri.
Okay,
Yes. A little bit about myself. I have one here too. I think if this is. Do I need this?
just leave it there.
Okay.
It's sufficient.
Aloha. Thank you for coming. And just a brief history of my story. I was born and raised in California on the day of the fake moon landing, and I say that in all seriousness. They were literally watching the fake moon landing when I was being born. And I had a beautiful childhood. I had most beautiful mother. She's passed on. I love you, Mom. And my dad, he was badly abused as a child. I did not know this until only a few years ago. But his mother had sent him off to an orphanage when he was only 4 years old. And he was mentally, physically, and sexually abused as a child. So he was so badly traumatized that he didn't even know how to love his only son. And it worked out for me because I always had this motivation to impress my dad. You know, every son wants his dad to respect him and love him. So it was a motivation for me to do a lot of the things I've done in my life. But my mom gave me the love and security that allowed me to push the boundaries. And from an early age, I never liked bullies at all. I never liked bullies. And I was the kid from an early age that if somebody wanted to try and intimidate me or get me to be submissive, no, let's fight. You know, I'm ready to fight. Let's go. So I got into quite a few fights. But at the same time, I never picked a fight with anybody. And I can honestly say this, of all the fights I've ever been in, I let them hit me first. You hit me, okay, game on now. Sometimes I wanted to fight, so I would goad them. But mostly I just didn't like bullies and people trying to intimidate me, and I didn't like somebody picking on somebody weaker than them either. So this was always in me, and I'm sure that that's my mother's love. I think there's nothing more beautiful than a mother. God bless you, mothers in here in the audience today. Without my mother's love, I would not be the man I am today. There's no way. No way. So I had fun in high school and school. I surfed. I love the sea. The sea was my first love. I used to go to the beach. I was boogie boarding. I was surfing, free diving. I became a dive instructor. I started the dive business in Hawaii. But while I was in Hawaii, and this is what I plan to do here, when I was in Hawaii, my mom taught me if you are in someone else's home, then you must respect the house rules, you must understand the house rules, and this is the basic form of respect. So when I was in Hawaii, I realized that while I was doing well, I was living a beautiful life, I was becoming successful in my scuba diving business, I became a captain and a dive instructor, but I realized at a certain point that you're just another white guy in somebody else's land and you don't know anything about the Hawaiian culture, history. You don't. You're just another foreigner coming in and enjoying someone else's place. So I made an active decision to learn Hawaiian history and culture. And over the course of a couple of years, I learned so much that made me deeply ashamed of America. Keeping in mind that in the U.S. Marine Corps, I was a good Marine, I was a machine gunner, I knew my job. And when I was in the Marines, I was given an unlawful order, which a lot of people think in the military that we're just robots and we're just supposed to do whatever we're told. That's not true. If we're given an unlawful order, our duty is to disobey the unlawful order. They say about the Germans, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Here's a book that I'll talk about. But they said about the Germans, they were just following orders. Now there's a lot more to say about that, but if you have a commander and they tell you to shoot a prisoner, your duty is to disobey the order. I did not obey an unlawful order. I was the one guy who spoke out and said no, and I caused big problems for my command. So I went from being the best Marine to the most hated guy, and I had 2 more years in the Marines to soak that up. And what that did to me was all of the indoctrination that gets the Americans to believe we're the greatest, rah, rah, freedom and democracy, that's all a lie. It's a lie. But because I was treated so badly in the Marines, and I was ready to kill or be killed, I was ready to kill people for this, and yet you're punishing me for doing the right and honorable thing? 2 more years of that. By the time I got out of the Marine Corps, I was like, I'm wrong about the Marine Corps, what else am I wrong about? And this is where the truth became my God. And this is how I really came to know God as I understand God now, by pursuit of the truth. And after I got out of the Marine Corps, I studied voraciously. I read book after book after book, and I realized everything we're being told is a lie. It's a lie. And if you really want to study history and you really want to understand the truth, then you will look into philosophy, you will look into the medical establishment, Western medicine, allopathic medicine. You will look into these subjects, look into politics, look into these things. Use critical thinking. Don't just accept what's being told to you, put it to the test. And I realized in my 20s, everything we're being told is a lie. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to know. And this is how I became who I am, now. I don't need to read fiction. Who needs fiction? Reality is more than enough. And I got out of the Marine Corps and I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And I started a dive business because I love the sea and I was loving my job. And then I started to learn about Hawaiian history, and I could give a lecture on Hawaiian history alone. There is a genocide being committed against the Hawaiian Kingdom, a sovereign nation that established itself as a sovereign nation back in 1843. It had treaties with 26 different nations, including the United States. It had 5 treaties with the United States, one of which was a treaty of friendship, commerce, and navigation. Needless to say, America completely violated that treaty. We unlawfully annexed Hawaii. We committed an active policy of genocide against them. We outlawed their language. We outlawed their hula dance, their national dance. We did everything we could to destroy any resemblance of who Hawaii was and who they are today. And to this day, you may remember the fires in Maui last year. I was in Maui during those wildfires. Those were directed energy fires that literally incinerated many people. 1,000 children went missing. And that's some of the most expensive real estate on the planet, Lahaina in Maui. Very, very expensive real estate. You've got Oprah Winfrey over there, Mark Zuckerberg over there, you've got Bezos, you've got all these rich billionaires who want to live in Hawaii. They just need to get rid of the Hawaiians. That's the only thing. It's the same thing with Israel and the Palestinians. That's the Palestinians' fault. They're the ones who have the lawful claim to that land. So the Jewish state of Israel wants to get rid of it. And they're actively doing this, as we can see. I made a film called The United States of Hypocrisy 25 years ago. And it was that film that got the attention of America, really. It really got their attention. In the meantime, I was rescuing green sea turtles that were wrapped in fishing line, and I was pulling ghost nets out of the ocean, and I was pulling trash off the sea. So I was doing everything I could to protect the ocean. But it was my work for Hawaii, that put me on the target list. I had warrants issued for my arrest in Hawaii, which was all me being targeted. I know there's several of us in here who are being targeted by the government. Yeah, I've been targeted by the governments for quite a while. And along the way, I've learned that, funny enough, initially when you first start to speak out, that you're in a dangerous period there. Because not a whole lot of people know you yet, but you're exposing yourself as somebody who's a potential threat. But then at a certain point, visibility becomes your protection. The less visible you are, when you've already revealed how much of a threat you are, the more vulnerable you are. So for me at this point, I've accepted long ago, I quote Malcolm X regularly on this. He was asked, what is the price for freedom? He didn't hesitate to answer that question. He said, the price for freedom is death. And if you aren't willing to pay that price, then don't use that word in your vocabulary. So I have been, from an early age, I have a warrior spirit. I'm not a diplomat. I'm somebody, right is right, wrong is wrong, unacceptable is unacceptable, and I find it fascinating how people have come to accept the unacceptable. Unacceptable is simply unacceptable. The idea that you would tell me that I have to inject my child with your drug, owned by the very people who are genociding the Palestinians, who are bankrupting us through usury, and literally committing every crime you can. You can take that and shove it where the sun don't shine. I will not submit to that. I would rather die. Thank you very much. And I've learned over this path of developing a fearlessness. I'm not afraid, whatever. If there's anything to be afraid of God's judgment. This soul in here is more precious than this body. And I've had 55 years, so I'm quite happy to have made it this far. But anyway, this is a short version of what brought me to the point that I am today.
Can I intercede for one?
Yes.
You mentioned just now, the same people that killing the Palestinian citizen is the same owner of this pharmaceutical company that created the vaccine. Are you aware of that, Dato' Toki? The same people killing the Palestinian are the owner of the pharmacy.
They own
Okay.
Moderna, Pfizer,
Okay.
the whole lot.
Okay, continue, brother.
They do indeed. In fact, they own the banks, they own Hollywood, they own the media, they own the politicians, they run them through America, through AIPAC. They do their backhanders, or, as many hopefully know here, and it's become much more well known, we all heard of Jeffrey Epstein, right? He's nothing. He's a low-level player. That's why they got rid of him. Who's behind him? Jeffrey Epstein. Who knows who's behind him? Do you know the name of the guy behind him? His name is Les Wexner. He's a Jewish billionaire who lives in Ohio. He's worth billions. That's why we don't know him, because that's much more power right there. We know of Epstein, but we don't know of the man behind him. And it's the same, if Jesus were here today, and I have quoted Jesus many times, those who say they are Jews, but they are not. They are the synagogue of Satan. These people worship Satan. They do. They absolutely do. They practice satanic ritual sacrifice. They're doing ungodly things, I could mention. Literally, adrenochrome, torturing children, extracting the adrenaline in their traumatized state. They use this, it's a drug, to keep themselves looking young. Many of the Hollywood actors that we all know, they're using this stuff. And the synagogue of Satan, those at the higher levels, David Rockefeller is an example.
Yeah, just see, brother. You have this knowledge, Toki and the people have this knowledge, okay? What about the FBI, the CIA, the United Nations, the Interpol? What are they doing? Are they just watching this killing of innocent?
They work for them.
Okay, continue, brother.
All the intelligence services, whether it's the CIA, Mossad, MI6, ISI, they're all working for the same master. They're all working for the same master. On a personal level, I have to say this because...
So we have no sheriff, no police, no law enforcement right now in the world.
No, we have some pockets of
Justice.
legitimacy.
Okay.
So for instance, in America, you can have a sheriff. Actually, sheriffs have more power than police, but they don't exercise that power. I have been I've been arrested many times, I've been in many jails, I've been in prisons, not because I'm a criminal, it's because I'm fighting the powers that be, that I'm continuously enjoying. I'm the guy who's been standing for law. This brings up another subject. People confuse the law, actual law, with what I call the color of law. These are very different things. So free speech is an example. In America, apparently, we have the Second Amendment, freedom of the press, and free speech. We don't have free speech. We don't, because they're using the color of law. So they say, oh, it's hate speech. Well, if I'm telling the truth about the genocide being committed against the Palestinians, that would be categorized as, quote, anti-Semitic. Which is ironic because those committing the genocide aren't even Semitic. They're not. That's why they get sunburned when they're over there in Israel. You're not from Israel. You're not from there. You're from Europe. The Palestinians don't get sunburned because they come from there. Just like the Malay people. You don't have problems getting sunburns, do you? No, because you come from a sunny place, don't you? But these foreigners who invaded this land, who call themselves Jews, but they are not, this is another issue, I think, it's a basic tool that can be used. Has anybody ever heard of an atheist Muslim? No, that you wouldn't be a Muslim if you're an atheist, would you? How about an atheist Christian? No, you wouldn't be a Christian if you don't believe in God. How about an atheist Jew? Ah, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. Isn't that getting back to, maybe that's the synagogue of Satan? Maybe that's what Jesus was talking about. You claim to be Jews, but you're not. I have problems with the Old Testament. I really do. I have problems even with that. I have no problem with Islam. I have no problem with Christianity in its true form. But there's a lot of fake Muslims out there. There's a lot of fake Christians, like the Christian Zionists. What's real Christianity? What's real Islam? I'll tell you what, neither one of them allows for usury.
Yes.
And all of us involved in usury are committing a sin. And we will be judged. Like I said, I'd rather die than submit to that system. I have no credit. I have no credit card. I have no credit. But I also have no debt. Most people are in debt, one way or the other. So, real Christianity does not allow for usury amongst many other crimes. Same thing with Islam. I think we would do ourselves well to start respecting God's will and doing what is our duty And we were having a conversation earlier. It's a time for warriors now. It really is. Now, not everybody has what it takes to be a warrior. Not everybody is willing to make the sacrifices that are par for the course. Fair enough. You know, if you don't have that kind of strength, I know this about Islam as well. In Islam, there's 3 ways to deal with injustice. The Sheikh just said this the other day, and I've said it many times as well. 3 ways. If you are not the strongest person, but you're a godly person, then the least you can do is to resent it, to hold no, to despise it from inside, and to not participate in it. That's the least of your duty as a Muslim. I would argue it's basically the same for Christianity. If you are stronger, then you will not only not participate, not only reject it, not only revile it, but you will speak against it. This will make you more of a target. This will inherently involve more risk. If you are stronger yet, if you are a warrior, then you will reject it, you will speak against it, and you will fight it. And this is where we get into the people that I have emulated, the people that I've respected most. Sitting Bull, Malcolm X, the warriors, the ones who fought and who were willing to die. For me, that is the epitome of what is a man. And in my young and youthful stupidity, I thought becoming a Marine was the way of the warrior. And in truth, like I said, I was nothing more than a mercenary for the banksters. My job was to go kill people and steal land and pretend as if I'm doing something to protect freedom and democracy for the world. Mind control is really why I believed that at that time. But again, the Marine Corps, because they broke their word to me and judged me falsely, all of that indoctrination, America's the grit, all of that indoctrination, bam, was gone. Because of those 2 years in the Marines where I was done wrong. I got no benefits for my time in service, going off to a war, and so on and so forth. So I'm so grateful for this. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise, who knows who I'd be today? I'd probably have more money than I have, and I'd probably own some real estate here and there. But
Can I intercede?
yes.
Okay, I have a question. The majority of the Malaysians right now, when we tell them that this COVID is a hoax, how do we present it to them that they will keep it in mind that it is a hoax?
Yeah.
And it's just like they're creating sickness, they cannot prove the virus, and then they are the same ones creating the... Yes. How do we...
This is where God has blessed me again, because I have a personal example, which no one could dispute, and I've said it publicly over and over. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was in the first Gulf War. So, and to keep in mind, I'm a Marine Corps infantryman, a machine gunner. So we're like the first ones to go in, and we're the last ones to leave, and that's literally what happened. My unit was sent off first to Saudi Arabia, where we sat on the border of Kuwait, and we were bombing the hell out of the Iraqis in Kuwait, and then eventually the ground war started. And that's where we got into our Amtraks, our armored personnel carriers, and we went into Kuwait. And I remember I did not sleep for 3 days. No sleep at all. The oil fires had been set, so we were breathing. It was black as midnight. Like in the midday, it was like midnight outside because the smoke was blocking all of the sunlight. We were inhaling all this toxic smoke. We were exposed to depleted uranium. But before we went off to that war, they did something to us to protect us, right? Isn't that COVID, all right? Isn't the immunization to protect us, yes? So before we went off to fight that war, we all knew that Saddam Hussein had chemical and biological weapons. Why did we know that? Because we gave them those weapons, which he used against Iranians and the Kurds. So Saddam Hussein had done his job because he worked for us. And Israel, which runs America, told Saddam to attack Iran. Who does Israel hate most today? Iran. Who do they want to take out now? Iran. They've got Syria now. They got Libya. Jordan. It's a puppy dog for Israel. Egypt, again, shameful, non-Muslim, Arab. Shame on all of you. The only one left now, really, is Iran. Well, Saddam Hussein attacked Iran, and 1 million Iranians died in that war. I've met survivors of the chemical weapons that were, literally, they have respiratory problems and skin problems to this day from the weapons that were used against the Iranians. When we went into Kuwait, we had been injected with a raft of drugs. These were experimental. There was no question of this. Zero question. Same thing as COVID. Oh, it didn't go through any trials. Absolutely not. This is a lie, a bald-faced lie. But you have to have at least a couple of brain cells that function, and you can figure this out. But if you're mind controlled, this is why I think a lot of people need to realize, you feel like you're banging your head against a wall, trying to explain to people. The real issue is that they're mind controlled. And there are things that I think we would do well to study the methods of mind control and the ways to help bring people back into thinking for themselves. Honestly. Because if you're trying to convince somebody who's mind controlled with logic, it won't work. It doesn't work. Anyway, they injected us with a raft. We had a bunch of injections that were given to us. Now, here's the facts. They say Adolf Hitler experimented on Jews. That's what they say. This is a lie, but that's what they say, right? That's what they say. Well, you know George Bush Sr.? That'll get us into the New World Order speech. Okay. George Bush Sr. was the president. He ordered us to take injections and pills that were indisputably, undeniably experimental. Now, according to the law, this is getting back to actual law, the color of law. While you're in the military, if you are given an order, if you refuse that order in a time of war, you could actually be executed, literally. The punishment for disobeying a lawful order in a time of war could not be more extreme, for fairly logical reasons. You can't have your troops not following orders if you're fighting a war. Anyway, there's 2 requirements in order to expose somebody to experimental drugs. 1, you have to get informed consent. You have to inform them. We do not know the long-term effects. We believe that it will be helpful, but we don't know. You have to tell them that. And if you tell them that and they consent to that, now you can administer the drug. In the case of us, not only did they inform us that these were experimental, but they did not get our consent. Instead, they ordered us to take experimental drugs. And how many of you have heard of Gulf War syndrome? Okay. Gulf War syndrome, which is suppressed by the media. Who controls the media? Oh yeah. Who controls? Oh yeah. Who controls all of it? So everybody should know this. And if we had real journalism, everybody would know this. And COVID would have never went anywhere. And none of us would have wore that stupid mask on our face, restricting our oxygen intake. A diaper. Yeah, I call it a diaper. Yeah, I never wore that diaper. And I flew, by the way, from Washington, D.C. in 2021. I have video, I can put it out there. I flew from Washington, D.C. through Dublin, Ireland, into London, not once wearing that mask. And I can honestly say, in the terminal, on the plane, everywhere, I'm the only guy who did not wear that damn mask. I only wish that others refused to submit, because there's only one entity that any of us should be submitting to. That's it. That's my master up there. And he speaks to me through my heart, and my heart never lied to me. But unfortunately, too many of us are willing to submit to this, that, and the other. Why we would submit to corrupt governments that lie to us? It's mind control, it's cowardly, you know, it's whatever.
Can I
it's
intercede,
shameful.
Brother Ken? You just came to Malaysia. Jadi untuk makluman sidang penuntut apa Brother Ken cakap, saya ahli bahasa Malaysia. Bahasa Malaysia Brother Ken. Kalau kita mendedahkan logik dan kebenaran versi ni buruk-buruk, orang Melayu takkan faham. Sebab macam Brother Ken kata, telah dipukau, telah dipropagandakan. Minda orang Melayu telah dipukau, diprogram TV1, TV2, TV3, betul-betul? Zaman kita ni, orang kita nak kena cucuk ni dah diprogram. Jadi apa yang Brother Ken kata tadi, nanti kita kena diprogram dulu, betul-betul? Kena diprogram. Kalau kita cakap lah macam mana 1001 fakta. Toki, siapa pandang sebenarnya? Kerja tak, bukan nak kipas dah. Saya kata dah penat bercakap, bisu. Bawa aduka baru ni, bawa Datuk, saya berkenal Datuk. Lawyer cerita macam-macam. Orang kita
Buih pula kan.
ni apa ni, nampak? Dia, kalau kita bagi logik dia akan jam.
Betul.
Saya kena bagi satu benda. Nanti I will talk with you how to deprogram the hack mind. Saya pun akan keluarkan satu buku sebenarnya. Saya dah buka sekolah Melayu, kelas program minda warisan bangsa. We need to unprogram the program mind of the Malay. Okay, continue brother. Oh, question. We have a question.
If I could just say something really quick, just to finish the point. Many died from Gulf War syndrome. And they tried to say it was this, that, or the other. It was the experimental drugs that they gave us that killed. Only the Americans and the British got these drugs. There were French and there were other, coalition of the willing, they called it. None of them got Gulf War syndrome. Yet they were in many of the same theaters of operation as we were. So the only factor that would explain why we died, many of my brethren died, 600,000 of us were ordered to take these drugs. Many died from Gulf War syndrome, to birth defects, miscarriages. All of this came because it's the same thing, tinkering with your DNA. Spike proteins and tinkering with your DNA, playing God. The pharmaceutical industry is playing God. Boy, that's about as stupid as it gets to allow that. So anyway, one of the ways that I believe that we can reach people, I know in England, they really, really pushed the jab. Like a lot of people, I know quite a few people, my friends, we all know, like the people that I move with, we know you ain't taking that damn jab. No way are you taking that vaccine. But many people, like whatever, they were getting married and they wanted to do the honeymoon in that country, and in order to go to that country, they had to get the jab. So many people did this. And I can honestly say, I know many people in the UK, everybody there knows somebody who is either dead now or is vaccine injured, and they're having health issues. We see young people dropping dead now. We see athletes dropping dead now. This never happened.
Yeah.
We did not have kids dying from heart problems until we had the vaccine. So I think one of the ways to reach people is, look, do you not know somebody who, and they hide this too. We hear about these people dying. They don't want to, did they get the jab? Did they get the jab? They don't want people to know that, because you're going to have to connect the dots at a certain point. And a lot of people right now, this is where we can reach people. They may not admit it publicly, but deep down, they know they were saying, oh, you got to get the jab, you got to get the jab. And now that loved one that they insisted on getting the jab is either dead or is having serious health issues.
Okay, can I give you a bonus today, Brother Ken? Before this, you fight for the Gaza, okay? You fight for the Palestinian being killed. Today you're coming to PPIM. We are offering you to help all the children of the world, together starting from Malaysia. You are now the fighter of all the children of Adam. And you have a bigger portfolio today. You cannot go back to America. Sorry, brother. Minta maaf, tukar dia. Minta maaf, okay, brother. You see?
Yeah.
Once
It's
it takes
okay,
this
I don't have any
path,
plan
okay,
to do
I know,
anything.
okay?
I'm not good.
You have to fight for all the innocent children and for all the Malay and also the Indian and all the multiracial Malaysian people, citizen, because the parent, the father has been brainwashed. You have the key, I know that. And you have the key to how to deprogram. And bagi mereka sedar, hampa dah kena pukau. Anak hampa akan mati. Tahu tak tu? Hampa kena sedar, TV 1, TV 2, TV 3, minta maaf. Siapa penyokong Tun jangan marah. Ada sokong Tun Mahathir kat tangan? Ada tak? Tak ada. Saya sama. Mana ni semua yang tak suka Tun. Betul? Zaman Tun tu dia tak berubah benda ni. Our education system has brainwashed our system. I'm a Malay fighter, okay? Have you heard hantu? Saya jebat dah kau. I'm like apa Braveheart lah, William Wallace. Saya akan mati lah. My people right now have been screwed by the British.
Yes.
I'm like the last Mohican, you know that? Last Mohican kan? The last Mohican. Okay. Jadi minta ampun tuan-tuan. Abang Chan ni one of our fighter. Similar to Jet Li, Bruce Lee. He has a mystical silat tiger martial art.
Oh wow.
Okay? He can kill 10 people with only one man. Okay? Kata api sikit lah apa. Kata api tuan-tuan, jadi saya minta tolong. Daripada zaman Tun Mahathir, orang Melayu yang minda tidak dimerdekakan. Saya harap Toki Abang Chan datang sini tu. Kita merdekakan minda bangsa kita. Sila. So Brother Ken, the main problem right now, the American government, tak boleh dengar dia. I have mic. Have programmed the people mind. Okay? The Jewish has programmed the people mind. They have created the scare tactic. You must take the vaccine, okay? Now, how do we deprogram them? What I'm facing right now, brother, why I'm calling here you to PPIM. Saya kesian dekat Brother Zul. Saya kesian dekat Dato' Asri. Minta maaf Dato', saya kesian tau. Day and night, I cry for Brother Muhammad. Dan kan saya nanya untuk Jen, a lawyer next to you, we will open the question for him. We have been talking day, night and day end. Saya dengan Datuk ni pergi Mahkamah Agung Timantara. Ingat Tan Sri Mushi dah meninggal. I'm bear witness bagi IC. I become one of the prime witness to bring to ICJ. Actually, I have a price on my head. Fauzi ni akan dibunuh mati because I'm the witness. But Datuk has been fighting a great war. We are talking to that war. We are talking to brainless zombie.
Yes.
Ni the problem kita hari ni Datuk kan sedar. Cakap kita ni we are brain dead. Okay? Jadi tolong sahabat. Bangkit hari ni, give some mind. Kita kena balik kepada ada Tuhan, ada jiwa. Okay, continue brother.
So, another way to help wake people up is a gentle way of shaming them. There's only really two approaches to life: fear, love. Love will conquer fear every time. If I saw my children or my mother being violated by a gang of Russian gangsters armed with Uzis, and I have no chance to stop them, am I going to leave my mother there and run away to save my life because I'm afraid of dying? No. I will charge into certain death because I love my mother too much. And there's no way that my mother is going to see me running while she's being violated. No way. Love conquers.
I have to
if I may just finish.
Go ahead.
The shaming of it is, let's be honest here, when we're talking to somebody. What is it that you feel about your family? Do you love your family? And if you do, why is it that you would allow something that may be injurious to your family? Are you afraid? Are you afraid that you won't be able to travel? Are you afraid that you might lose your job? Are you afraid that you might be someone on the hit list? Okay, then just admit you're a coward.
Deception.
You're a coward.
We were deceived. I was deceived.
And that's fair enough. And it takes a better man to admit when they're wrong. Me, myself, I've said over and over and over, I was an idiot. I joined the Marine Corps at 19 years old. I thought I was fighting for the greatest nation in the world. Was that true? No, that was stupid. Why? Because I was brainwashed. I was an idiot. And I'll forever acknowledge that. That's why I'm atoning. For the rest of my life, I'm atoning. Even though I was young and dumb, I know a lot of people when I say this, they say, oh, but you didn't know. Well, God gave me a brain. If you go up to God and say, oh, but I didn't know, my son, I gave you a brain, you know, it works. But you're going to have to use it. If you want to go ahead and parrot what everybody else is saying, I don't know, good luck with that. If you go into a courtroom and say, oh, but I didn't know that was against the law, that's not a defense. That's not going to work. Fair enough. We all make mistakes. Is there anybody in this room who has never made a mistake? We've all made mistakes. We've all sinned to one degree or another.
Can I intercede for one?
Integrity requires that we be honest with ourselves. We can lie to the world, we can even lie to ourselves, but you ain't going to lie to God. So, you know, I understand. A lot of us have been stupid and some of us carry it into later years. I decided at 20 years old, I didn't like being stupid. I didn't like it. So I decided, I want to know the truth, man. I don't want to be used again as a chump, much less to unwittingly kill my own family by saying get the jab and do this and that and the other. But God bless you. I mean, you know, better to figure it out at some point and acknowledge that we were wrong than to double down on the lie and pretend as if that's going to get us nowhere.
Can I intercede for one? Thank you.
Yes, of course, of course.
Boleh tak saya rumuskan hari ni? Hampa tak sayang keluarga. Tak ada seorang ibu Melayu bangkit, anak aku nak kena cucuk mati. Hampa kesian Zul. Seimbang segala fakta. Kalau hang anak soleh, mak aku nak kena cucuk, benda ni benda haram jadah. Macam Brother King kata, a simple Palestinian child boleh berdiri depan kereta kebal. Nama tanah Melayu Pendeka. Bangun Abang. Mana Abang bangun?
Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Kita bukan nak gaduh hari ni. Ni Datuk dah bangun ni, minta maaf. Mak kita mati kena cucuk. Anak kita mati kena cucuk. Orang luar datang, hang tak sayang ke keluarga Melayu? Jadi lepas ni jangan takut. Mereka ada, Datuk ada, lawyer ada, Datuk Asli ada. Kita bukan nak memberontak. Saya malu tau, bawa Mak Salih datang, fighter daripada Palestin. Apa, tanah Melayu tak ada penikah ke? Tak ada panglima ke? Nak saya buka cuma betul saya jadi Superman ke? Ada kawan saya kena Superman. Isu dia sayang. Kalian dah hilang kasih sayang. Mulakan segala yang Datuk dengan Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Itu yang muka Datuk tadi, tak habis kuat tapi muka senyum. Saya tengok, saya berani buat salah tu. Dia dengan saya depan tansi mahkamah Timur Tara, betul?
Ya, betul.
Saya bagi IC kan?
Ya,
Saya percaya kat dia. Dia takkan khianat saya. Kita boleh rasa orang sayang, nak orang nak lawan, ada duit bagi duit. Ada IC bagi IC. Ni yang saya ada apa dia pun. Lah ni, hampa boleh letak berapa ratus atas meja ni. Ada untung ke fight? Tak ada. Peguam ni tak cari untung pada dia. Tak, minta maaf brother Raymond Ken I need to bring the fighter spirit.
Tak menjerit orang tak dengar. Tapi takkan selama-lamanya kita nak menjerit kan?
Dah maaf dulu, kerja terbakar tu yang Ken Smith ni. Kita anak-anak mak, kita bangkit atas kasih sayang. Kesian mak kita sakit jantung, ayah kita mati, keluarga kita mati. Raymond Hindu, dia kan Kristian, dia anak Kristian Hindu. Dia sanggup berkorban ni seorang tadi. Ni brother kita Chinese. Anak mak kan anak bapak. You are a son to your mother or your father. Lebih rapat dengan siapa? Same. Nah, dia saya lebih kepada anak mak. Okay, jadi nak pendekkan cerita, bangkitlah wahai bangsa Melayu. Kita bangsa berterima kasih. Tapi hari ini kita telah ditipu. Dan kita telah hilang kasih sayang. maka mulakanlah segalanya dengan Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mati pun Bismillah, sembelih orang pun Bismillah, berdiri depan tank pun Bismillah. Brother, I want to tell you in bahasa Malaysia, meaning that in the name of God, the loving and compassionate, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Die for the love of your mother. Protect your family. Hidup, living with love, dying with love. So help me God. Continue, brother.
Yes. Love is the basis of my rage. Anger, many times I've had in interviews or in conversations, you're angry. And my reply to that is, if you're not angry, something's wrong with you.
Of course.
Really. But anger is similar to love. Love is so powerful. So powerful. Anger is powerful. But unfortunately, many people, they only allow the anger, they react. They don't channel it. Channel that rage. I've done this. So the things you've seen me do in my life, that's been my rage. I don't need my children to be bombed, raped, burned alive. I don't need it, and God willing, none of that is going to happen to my children. But it's happening to someone else's child. I don't need it to happen to my child. I am angry. The fact that my government has everything to do. They're not my government anymore. I renounced my U.S. citizenship. I cursed my birth nation on every level. But at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that children are being burned alive. They're being buried under rubble. They are being raped. They are being enslaved. Every single man on this planet, we don't even qualify as men. The fact that we allow this shows that we are a collective failure. We have failed. I'm not into excuses. That's why I say I'm not looking to be a martyr. Whatever. If that's my fate, that's my fate. I believe that the reason why I came back from the dead, by the way, I didn't explain, there's so much more to my story, but 6 years ago I was poisoned, I fell back, banged my head, was dead on the ground, multiple witnesses, white as a sheet, not breathing, no pulse, and a Hawaiian, funny enough, in Thailand, a Hawaiian. What are the odds? This is God saying, yeah, send him an angel, I'll make him a Hawaiian. A Hawaiian in Thailand gave me CPR. So took his lips, pressed them to mine, pushed his air from his lungs into mine, pumped my chest, boom, I came back. And I realized at that point, this was sort of my penultimate spiritual lesson. Apparently when I came back, I had a huge smile on my face too. I don't know, they all told me this later. But I thought about it soon enough, and I realized, and it makes me chuckle to this day, like, wow. My enemies, let's put it this way, if I'm my enemy, and I see me, take care of it. Take care of it, man. They got assassins, they got everything right there. Why am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay, brother, how many bullets they took for Gaza?
Oh my God.
How many times did you get shot? Berapa kali dia ditembak untuk membela anak-anak Gaza? Tell the audience.
So, let me speak about, I have family in Gaza, I have relations with family. I don't even speak their name because they could just send drones right for them, I don't even ask them where they are, but I am in contact. I get regular contact. One of the things that hurts for me is that if I had money, I could have gotten at least my family out. They look at me like a father figure. I knew most of these people, they were children when I met them. And their own father was murdered in front of them, literally, shot dead, along with siblings, 27 members of the family. I don't even say their name because they'll just kill them. So I could be raising more money. I've managed to send, nearly $10,000 over the last, before October 7th, by the way, was sending money. And then October 7th is sending more money. But if I had more money, I could have at least got them out. My dream is, and I pray for this, that I will be able to get at least these family members out. And I want to bring them here. to Malaysia. So I would like to get the help of the Malaysian government to get them out, bring them over here, and to hold each other, to smile, to laugh, to heal. And eventually I want to go back to Gaza and rebuild the whole damn thing, and bye-bye Israel. Greater Israel, nah. Historic Palestine restored, and I see this day coming. I see Israel is done. Mark my words, Israel is done. Whether or not they will exercise the Samson option and bring the whole world down, we'll see. We'll see, and let's call their bluff. Go on, do it then. I see Palestine being restored, I really do. But right now, I mean, the amount of people dying over there, I mean, I think most of you probably know, but I mean, the type of technology they're using, the drones that they're sending specifically to shoot right between the eyes and targeting children, literally, that's their target. And they've said it publicly. That child is the terrorist of tomorrow. So, you know, they even have shirts, right, with pregnant women, 1 shot, 2 kills, right? Shoot the pregnant woman, kill the baby, kill the mother, 1 shot, 2 kills. This is the way they see it. They call them human animals and everything. These individuals, I don't even want to call them human beings. I don't believe they have the same DNA as you or I. These people are inhuman. They are the biggest threat to all of humanity. And the fact that we, the Goyim, you're all Goyim, I'm Goyim, we outnumber them, boy. They're 0.2% of the human population.
How many percent did you say?
0.2 of the global population, 0.2. And yet they're running the world. Which, you know, that can get into deeper
Can
subjects
you
about
answer my
Satan.
question? How many bullets you actually took?
What's that?
How many bullets you took at your body?
I've never been shot.
No?
No, I've never been shot. God willing, I'll avoid that one too. I know what it sounds like to have a bullet fly by. It's an unnerving sound, I can tell you. It's a very, very distinctive sound. God has been with me, literally. Yeah, I mean, I disarmed 2 commandos on
I heard
the
about
Mavi
it.
Marmara. I remember bullets ricocheting around me. Okay.
Okay, brother Ken, in Malaysia we have one terminology, kebal atau kebat. We don't have, kita tak perlu pakai jacket bulletproof tau. Orang Melayu ni ada muka kebal tau, brother. You shot, your body is invisible.
Yes,
It's
yes.
like Superman.
I've been bitten by a shark.
Okay.
That's a great omen.
I have a friend over there been bitten by a snake, never die. The guy wearing the dark glasses.
What kind of snake?
What kind of snake? Cobra. Cobra. Never go to hospital. He's immune now, okay? Okay, brother, can you mention to the audience the picture that Brother Azman sent to me? That you received like a key from Hani.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Can you provide that information?
Yeah, I mean, I intend to write my autobiography, and I'll get into these stories because there's many, but because of the work that I did for Palestine, either individually or in concert with others, some of you may have heard of something called the Free Gaza Mission in 2008. There were 2 boats that sailed from Greece to Cyprus and then into Gaza. And the Israelis said that we were like pirates and they would treat us as such, but I was the captain of those 2 boats. And we managed to sail into Gaza, which the Palestinians were blown away. None of them thought we would make it. And when we got in, it was one of the happiest moments of my life. Like, the Palestinians were all sailing out of the harbor, coming, the kids were jumping in the water, they were all waving flags and cheering and loving us, and they had a moment of joy, of hope. They saw that there were people outside of Palestine who cared and were willing to risk their own safety. And so that was one thing I did. A couple years later, I was on the Mavi Marmara, the ship that was attacked by the Israelis. They murdered 10 people, died. 6 of them were executed. So point blank range shot to the head. One was shot right here in the face, he was a Turkish American kid, Furkan Doğan. And I managed to disarm 2 out of the 3 Israeli commandos. I disarmed 2 of them. I could have killed both.